In the past few years, we have seen advances in technology. Actually, in the past year, I've seen advances in technology that I haven't seen move at a speed in the past 2 decades. It is both frightening and exciting all at the same time. And I think we have come to a really exciting moment in our time.
Avery, back again, Gen C. So excited for our guest today. I know we've been wanting to have her on for a while, so this is going to be a great, great conversation. First, though, Avery, I had a couple things I wanted to talk to you about, none of which involve Diddy or SBF
Woo.
sharing a cell room together. But I was reading a bunch over the weekend, Avery, about how both Twitter and Netflix do these big data drops of what's happening on their platforms. Netflix just started this process last year. Twitter had been doing it for a long time. This is the first time they've done it under Elon Musk. And it's really interesting to see what happens when you drop a lot of data. So like as an example, like X received 224 million user reports, which then they suspended 5 million accounts, removed 10 million posts. That actually feels low to me compared to how much complaints we see about all of the stuff going on the platform.
Right.
They also really doubled down though on this idea of being both for human rights, but also being a place for full freedom of expression, which I think frankly can be counterintuitive to each other. Netflix, on the other hand, showed in their data that half of the top shows are ones they just license from other folks. And the
Mhm.
other half are like the sleepers, like the Baby Reindeer that no one thought would be a giant hit and then becomes it. They also showed that live television, the Tom Brady roast specifically, crushed. And so like Netflix is now cable TV. And then you have Twitter in their data, which are kind of really sort of acknowledging there's still a big, big moderation problem. I just wonder, how do we as creative people, as agency people, as media people look at these? Like, is data a good thing in this world, or is it something that actually creates challenges because now we have more conversation to talk about why something may or may not be working? What are your thoughts on releasing huge amounts of data?
I feel like I always say the same thing on these. It's a double-edged sword. There's good sides and there's bad sides. Just like anything. I think I'm still sort of like formalizing my exact POV on this because I actually do see sort of both sides of these things. And I don't think there's I don't feel strongly like this. Absolutely. I'm 100% convicted. So I'm going to say I see both sides. I also think with the huge amounts of data that already exist and are already can get hacked and leaked and et cetera, it is all kind of out there is sort of like in my mind for this.
One of the things that I found interesting I was listening to the podcast The Town, which is I think my favorite one about Hollywood and the business of
Oh,
Hollywood.
cool. I need to listen to that.
Yeah, which comes from Puck. And one of the things they said was, the main host, Matthew Bellamy, was like, he thinks this is Netflix, not today, but 2 years from now, being able to renegotiate with actors and stars to say, hey, if we release what is popular, then we're only going to pay you on things that hit certain thresholds. Whereas right now, because they were never releasing data, they were just paying stars to pay stars to have them in. So I thought that was an interesting take, that this may be foreshadowing of them trying to renegotiate creator deals and talent deals in the future. So that's one of the areas I've been looking through the lens of, which is why are they releasing the data and what is the true agenda around releasing data that no one asked them necessarily to. So it's an
Oh,
interesting
I'm
thing.
gonna have to give that a listen. Sam, but as you mentioned, there is a flurry of activity sort of going on this week. A lot of conversations. I think TikTok, at least my algo, has been taken over by sort of Diddy indictment, the truth
All over.
story.
I think my favorite subplot in the Diddy cinematic universe is the fact that like everyone is speculating, oh, this person deleted these tweets a year ago.
Right.
This person just got rid of their account. This person has, pulled out of a business deal. They all now are blaming Diddy for anything that happens in the entertainment space, which, may be relevant.
They're
We'll
like,
find out.
Jonah Hill knew because he made this joke in an elevator. And you're like, maybe that's what that was about. Maybe it was just a weird joke. Like,
I mean, Jonah Hill is the Oracle, so I get that.
yeah.
The other story I thought was interesting, and again, relates to the company you used to work for, but I've been seeing a lot of stories pop up about that. There's a lot of folks who use Fitbits that are feeling like they're about to be sunset. It's owned by Google now. And it made me think about like where wearables go to die. And I know we have
Or
someone
no, Sam, I'm going to
on the
interrupt
show.
you. Where acquisitions go to die. Google acquires a lot of things that then are no longer.
Okay, very well clarified there. But I guess I was just thinking about the idea of like, I remember so many people who were like obsessed with their Fitbits, or maybe who are now obsessed with Whoops or Aura rings or whatever. And at some point, those may only have a life.
Yeah, they've moved to
Right?
Oura Ring. I don't know anyone who has a Fitbit anymore. Or the iWatch. It's called an iWatch. Yeah, my husband is like obsessed with his, and he's gifted me several of them. I think that
That you're clearly
kids.
not wearing as we speak.
No, come on, absolutely not. I'm not a wearables girly. The Oura Ring is, I think, where the Fitbit folks have migrated. As a Zoogler myself, I've seen so many Google acquired companies that they sometimes maybe it's almost on purpose. It's like they just acquire them because they're competitive, and then just sort of it's not all at once. It's like a slow
Right. Slow
trickle of
death.
like
Yes.
draining the talent, and then they move on. But the founders got there, so can we feel too bad for them?
I don't feel too bad for them. I just think it's interesting this sort of like someone somewhere, probably Jeff Carvalho, our friend, has a closet full of the old devices, the Nike
Definitely.
Plus and all of the
He's gonna,
things
like,
that
make a museum of wearables. Let's get
right.
Jeff on to share about his, collectibles one of these days. But today we have a very exciting guest. I'm
Yes, we
super
do.
pumped, to be welcoming on Resh. Resh runs, Arcadia Studios for Snap, which is very impressive. So I believe after the break, we'll be welcoming her on.
Let's get to it.
Hello, Resh. Thank you for joining us on Gen Z today.
Hi, everyone. It's good to be here.
We are so excited to have you. Resh, we have been wanting to deep dive into AR and all things Snap for a while now in Gen Z. So, you were our dream speaker and guest. So I so appreciate you being here. So before we get into all the fun stuff, wanted to just sort of have you introduce yourself to the Gen Z community. Tell us a little bit about Resh.
Of course. So I'm Resh Sidhu. I'm the global director of Arcadia, and Arcadia is Snapchat's in-house augmented reality studio. We're a team of like creators, innovators, makers, all coming from very diverse and different backgrounds. We're like a little SWAT team that's been put together to really help brands push the boundaries of what's possible with Snapchat augmented reality. So I always say we get to work on the coolest and never been done before projects, which are also the most scariest as well. So love operating in that space of fear and excitement all at the same time. I'm based in New York. Our team is global. We are all over the world. And we work with a small group of global brands, everything from Coca Cola, Nike, L'Oreal, NYX, all of which I'm going to be sharing a little bit about. But I will say one of the things that connects all of those brands together is their ability to be brave and courageous in a world where there's a lot of the same. So a little bit of a shout out to all of the incredible brand partners that we work with.
Our favorite
Love
guests
that.
on this pod are the innovators within the big companies, of which you are one,
Yeah,
Resh.
Oh, bless. Love
absolutely.
it. Love it. Well, let's make this nice and juicy for everyone.
Well, I want to start there with a juicy question, which I think is going to be around the sort of timeline around AR, VR. You've been working in this category from beyond before you were at Snap. I know I was doing VR honestly 2006,
Mhm.
7, so pretty early on as well. And I remember I was 2016, I was at the New York Times at the time, and we had just launched AR within the New York Times app. And everyone at the time was like, this is it, guys. We finally made it. We're here. And you guys had been doing some amazing AR work as well at the Snap side. But I guess where my head keeps going is I think we all felt we would be farther along
Mm.
in the AR journey, the VR journey, the kind of just the idea of locative information. We've all seen it in science fiction. It feels like we're getting there, but it seems like it's taking a lot longer than we would have thought back, 10, 20 years ago. So I guess
Interesting.
where do you think we are as someone who is in this every single day? Is this where we're supposed to be? Or did it take longer than we thought?
Oh, what a timely question because we were at Snap's Partner Summit just last week, and Snapchat's Partner Summit is where we come together with our partners and our developer community. And we had Lens Fest the day after the Snap Partner Summit, and it's really about Snapchat and our incredible founders and leaders talking about what's new. And Sam, during that session, I will tell you, I had a full body goosebumps moment. And it doesn't happen often with me because, for a lot of us working in this space or working at that intersection of creativity and technology, we're almost like in this bubble where we're surrounded by the technological advances at such speed and such pace that sometimes cool gadgets don't excite us in the same way it would excite a normal human being. And I was sitting there in the crowd. I'm a Snapchatter. I've been at Snapchat just over 2.5 years. So knew what was coming, but still was like a giddy little child when Evan Spiegel, CEO of Snapchat, was on stage and announced the spectacles. So it's our new version of the spectacles. It has augmented reality powering it. And there, Sam on the stage, he was talking, and not just talking, but popped on the spectacles, did a little demo, shouted out to the audience, "What do you want to see?" And someone shouts out back, "A cupcake with sprinkles on it." And the Gen AI is like, "Doodle-doo, cupcake with sprinkles." And then someone shouts out, as you imagine, "A frog with a cowboy hat." And then a frog with a cowboy hat, all in real time, all live. And, Evan is showing the things that you can do on spectacles, takes a selfie with the whole crowd. And there was this moment I was there and I was like, this is goosebump inducing because this is the promise of everything that we've imagined for the past 15 to 20 years happening again. And for those people that think, is it moving fast enough? Maybe it hasn't moved fast enough. I'd say to everybody, look again, look at where not just AR has come, but where technology has come. In the past few years, we have seen advances in technology. Actually, in the past year, I've seen advances in technology that I haven't seen move at a speed in the past 2 decades. It is both frightening and exciting all at the same time. And I think we have come to a really exciting moment in our time. And you know what, Sam? You're right. When I look back, I'm like, damn, it was 15 years ago. My career spanned 2 decades. It feels like a long time, but when you're in it, it feels like just yesterday. Just yesterday, and I'm pointing up here on the back of my shelf, Snapchat had those vending machines out in the world, and you could get the first spectacles. And that was, not so many years ago. And look how quickly we've advanced to the spectacle versions that, we announced last week that enable you to have voice interaction, hand gestures, play basketball, learn the piano, but also stay connected with your friends as well. We created an incredible experience with Lego, which is a shared kind of connected Lego experience that you can do in AR. And that in itself is just an incredible example of how the technology has moved. I think Snap is leading the AR revolution. Naturally unbiased, I'm going to say that. But, I've dabbled in the dark arts of all technology, all mediums. And, I think our latest spectacles proves that, we're not just talking about AR, we're living it right now in the moment. And we've gone from simple AR filters to cover of magazines to now some of the most immersive experiences that you can imagine. And it's all present in your real world, which I think is tremendously excited. So I think it's come a long way. And I encourage people to look back and look again and then be very excited for what is to come. I think we could do this podcast a year from now and the landscape will be looking very different.
It does look different every year, right? But one thing is constant, and that is tech companies wanting to launch glasses. And whether it is Google Glass or the first iteration of Snap Spectacles, which I thought was a brilliant marketing initiative as well. So shout out to the team who crafted that launch. I know we were wearing the spectacles all over Vayner, but to Ray-Ban Meta and what they've done with some of the work there. So talk to us a little bit about how this iteration of Snap's wearables is different than previous iterations. It looks very different. And I'd love to hear sort of what you think are the big improvements. From my understanding, it seems like it's available first for developers before it's sort of consumer facing. So we want to hear all the tea.
Yeah. Thank you for also getting the spectacles way back when. I love it. It was really interesting. I was actually talking to someone and someone was like, hey, you know, Meta are going to be dropping their version and you've got the Ray-Ban glasses and whatever. How do you feel about that? And I said, well, we didn't get to the moon with a one-man race, did we? So it'd be very boring if it's just
Abundance mindset.
right. Exactly. So I'm very excited about that. And we want teams and companies and creative studios to be innovating. That's so important. Now, when it comes to spectacles, you are not wrong, Avery. You are absolutely spot on. It's a developer kit version we announced at Snap partner summit, and on the next day we had our Lens Fest. And for those who don't know, Lens Fest is our developer event where developers came in. We did a hackathon with the spectacles. They not only got to try them, they actually got to take them away. So we're trying to make it as easy and as simple as possible for developers to use. The best part of it is Spectacles Gen 5 version is powered by AR. It also has Snap OS on it, and you can build on it straight away with our Lens Studio. So it's an incredible kind of whole platform that kind of comes together. We're giving people the tools to kind of make incredible content, whether it's on Snapchat or whether it's on the spectacles, which is really exciting. What I love about it is it's fully gestural based and the voice activation is incredible. And then it has Gen AI in it as well. I mean, really, it's giving you superpowers in ways that you never imagined. And the beauty of it all is you can use it as a layer of creativity. It's got utility function on there and it allows you to be fully present to experience those moments and connections with people that are so important. What's really nice about the spectacles is our goal at Snapchat isn't to like transport people into a fully digital space, but it's to augment your present space in ways that make, I don't know, human connection deeper, in ways that bring you together and create shared experiences. So this is a real kind of gigantic leap towards that. As I mentioned, we worked with one of our brand partners, incredibly innovative partner, a global brand, Lego. And one of the first and only branded experiences on the spectacles is a Lego experience called Bricktacular, where you basically have a number of bricks and you just challenge to build whatever you can and wherever your imagination takes you. And I have 2 boys and there's a lot of Lego in my house. But
Love that.
when I first experienced Lego in the spectacles, firstly, I was like, wow, this is great. I never have to tidy up Lego again. This is fantastic. But also, it's so magical. It just felt so playful and enjoyable. And what's really great is with the voice activation, I can say, give me a yellow brick and a yellow brick falls. And it's a great way to think about how brands can also use it. Lego is all about play and imagination. And what better way and what better technology than AR to use to help extend playing in the real world
You
at home
know,
as well.
Resh, you can never step on a virtual Lego piece also.
I
The
mean,
benefit there, as anyone with kids
every
knows.
parent will know. Every parent will
Yes.
know.
I do think that, and I wonder actually how many people in our audience know about the fact that really it was Google with Google Glass and Snapchat with Spectacles, which were the first true wearables that were playing in this field. And Google very decidedly did not want to continue with that. It was very exciting to see that you guys were continuing and evolving it in throughout the vision of what we were trying to bring forth, I think, in our science fiction imagination. And Avery, I was telling Rush we were setting up, I literally had to pay someone to stand online at one of those vending machines because I was at work and I needed to get a pair of spectacles when they launched. And there was a machine in Union Square. My office was in Soho, and I paid someone to go stand online, get me 2 pairs, one for me and one for my daughter. And I think like it was also such a big viral brand moment, just like talking about this like amazing new product that no one had seen, and then just like dropping this what looked like a smiley vending machine in all yellow in the middle of Union Square. Really like got the ad world talking, which I'm sure was a great moment. But I do, I guess, Resh, want to keep going a little bit farther
Mhm.
on is I want still the ability to put on my pair of glasses, look around at a building and know if there's an apartment available, to find where the nearest ATM is, to use it for training in yoga or
Mhm.
training because I want to become a better basketball player. From a use case perspective, is it like, do you guys see this as informational or do you see it as entertainment? Because Lego is super fun and you can build and do this, but I also just love the practicality of what happens when the world around me becomes a interactive map that I can then, go in and out of as I need it. Where do you think like is the future use case of that behavior?
Yeah, I think it's such an incredible, question. Often we talk about like science fiction and what we were promised as kids and Ready Player One. And just the other weekend, I was watching Back to the Future with my son. One of the things that drew me to Snapchat is Snapchat's vision for AR has always been crystal clear. We've been working in the AR space for over a decade, moving from dog ears and vomiting rainbows into incredibly utility driven AR experiences and AR on our spectacles device. I think the vision for us is always being to create something that integrates really seamlessly into your daily lives. Yeah, Sam, what you were just saying there, like you're out walking and you see this new apartment building, you're like, is there an apartment available and can I afford it? Where spectacles comes into play, where wearables come into play is when they are not forced into your daily habits, but they are enhancing those daily moments, whether it's finding an apartment down your street or actually seeing a new flower grow in your garden and not knowing what it is, to becoming a parent for the first time and being able to be helped and guided through some of those things, to entertainment and play. It can be as many things as it needs to be, but it will only be successful when honestly it's a device that people want to integrate into their daily lives. And, I think Evan said it really well at the Snap Partner Summit. And he said, the goal is to create the next generation of computing that feels really intuitive and natural. One of the things I love about it is the user interface. It's just the palm of your hand. You just tap, the menu appears. It's so intuitive and simple to use. And then when things become natural, then the technology gets out of the way and it allows you to experience the things that you want. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. And I think that's something to really pay attention to over the next few years, is to see what developers are building and what people are gravitating towards. It's very much like the early days of the iPhone and the early iterations of the apps. Some worked really well, and it's the ones that were most useful to people's daily lives that became the most impactful.
I love that. So many great points in there. And Rush, I know your team has actually been really instrumental in helping a lot of brands understand how to harness the power of AR and Snap for good at Arcadia Studios. Can you give some examples of some of, your favorite pieces of work? I'm deeply familiar with a few, like Beauty Bestie, but there's so many more that I know you all have worked on. We'd love to hear maybe some of your favorites.
Yeah, and I think it's something really exciting and important that over the past kind of year or so, the Snapchat team, led by Colleen DeCourcy, our incredible chief creative officer, has really focused on this, what we're calling the loneliness epidemic, and this kind of shift and importance of Snapchat more than ever, because people are feeling lonely. And on platform, they're actually, it's the happiest platform. And the reason for that is they feel happier because they feel connected, and they feel connected to their friends. And so for us, when we're creating experiences with and for brands, the important thing that we try to help brands navigate is understanding that when you are trying to reach an audience on Snapchat, they're being their most authentic and real selves. And the experiences that you create should be about being able to bring people together, providing something, a utility, helping solve a problem, something that they don't have that can really help them or deliver something in a moment. And it's hard to choose which projects are your favorite projects, or which projects do you want to talk about. And I know, Avery, you got a little bit of a taste of the Beauty Bestie work that we did, but one of the things within Team Arcadia is we want to help brands really push the boundaries. And so for me, two projects that stand out, definitely Nick's Beauty Bestie, but also our Coca-Cola AR vending machine. I'll tell you why. So for those who don't know, Nick's Beauty Bestie was all about redefining beauty for Gen Z. And what we found is Gen Z, for them, it wasn't just about playing with filters. They understand AR. They are using AR on a daily basis. And makeup was a very popular kind of AR filter that we saw on the platform. But what we found with Gen Z is they're in a constant state of flux. They're experimenting with who they are. And there really wasn't the tools to help them express their creativity and the freedom to experiment with makeup. And when they're exploring their identity and who they are, that becomes so much more important. So as a brand, Nix has the opportunity to create something that would stay true to the Nix brand in terms of democratizing makeup expertise, and then stay true to what Gen Z wanted, So we created Nick's Beauty Bestie, and it is this incredible AR utility tool that lives on the Nick's Beauty Bestie profile on Snapchat. And I think for me, it breaks the traditions of what you can do in terms of the beauty category because it allows people to engage with technology in such a personal way, and it empowers them to try on all of these different AR looks. But each of the looks have been created by Nick's professional makeup artist. So you can try on a look and you can browse and you can like, save, share. And then the best thing is you can shop straight through the experience. This project really sticks with me because it used tech for good, not just for glam. So it wasn't just about, hey, what makeup look can we put on Avery today? It was like Avery's waking up. You open up the app and the beauty bestie is like, hey, bestie. And it learns about you. So the trick was personalization. So we trained the AR tool to learn as much about Avery or Sam as we could. The more our audience engage with it, the more we learn. And the more looks are tailored to you. And being a woman and a woman of color, some looks that look great on me are not going to be the same as on Avery yourself or even on Sam. And some days I might want full glam, and other days I just might want some simple kind of like I'm in my gym jam moments and I just want to chill at home. And this tool kind of does it all. What was really nerve-wracking for us, Avery and Sam, was we know our audience really well. We know how they use Snapchat and how they engage. We know they love AR and doing AR filters. So we felt we had the essence of a really great idea. What we didn't know is if we built this always on tool, would we get repeat return usage? And that's different for a Snapchat AR filter because normally it's a one off use. You do a filter, you send it to a friend, and sometimes you have your favorite ones, but it's a one off use.
I love that. Sorry to interrupt you, Rush. I just think that that's exactly right. Because a lot of people think about this as like stunt and activation tied to one thing. And what I think, what you and Nick's, and I know Maya's been really involved in driving this, but it's not. It's more of a channel than an activation. Because if I look at all the cool things that are happening now, it's like there's the lips lingerie thing. There's throwback. There's slit clicks. There's so many different product ties because the way that a lot of brands allocate media budget and allocate budget towards these things is based on the product push or campaign. They do that, but in a way that's also linked to this channel and to this overarching beauty bestie, which I think that's really like another part of the magic of why this is effective.
It is, and it's a game changer. And guess what we found, Avery? So obviously, the way we build is we build to live and not build to die. So Nick's were incredible partners. In the first few months, it was really about testing, learning, iterating. We were improving the experience. We were seeing what was working, what wasn't working. They were incredibly brave about ditching. We think people would like it versus what people are actually using. Not only has this been one of the most successful lenses, it has had people returning not just daily, but also multiple times in a day. They are coming back, they are using the service, and one of the most top features in it is the tips and tricks from the makeup artist, because where else are they going for these tips and tricks? And from a business point of view, it also drove millions in sales in the first 4 months. So not only does it demonstrate it is actually something that people need and want and they will come back to, but it's a makeover for your whole business strategy, like you were saying, Avery. And this is the type of experiences we want to create and put out there because it truly shows when AI is done well. And when you truly understand your audience, you can create something truly impactful. And I can also share that it will be going global soon as well. So, what a remarkable journey for such an incredible project. And huge, huge testament to the incredible clients because working with innovation and working in this way is a leap of faith because you
Mhm.
are testing new technology and you are testing whether your audience is going to gravitate towards something. But what we are seeing is people don't want to be sold products. They want to be heard and seen, and they want products that can actually flex with them and their identity and enable them to express themselves. So that was Beauty Bestie. And the other one, completely different, was the Coca-Cola AR vending machine. And the reason why this was like crazy projects was because what an incredible kind of journey with Coca-Cola. It's an example of great brand partnerships and pushing the boundaries of human experience. Coca-Cola kind of approached us and said, hey, we have like the vending machine. Is there any way to reinvent the vending machine so we can connect with Gen Z and turn something that is transactional into something that is transformational? And so we had this idea of putting our AR technology into a vending machine. And within a few weeks, we had a prototype where we put our Snap AR camera kit technology into a vending machine with a Snap AR mirror, and we were building experiences. The vending machine actually made its worldwide debut and consumer facing debut at the Paris Olympics. So we created these custom AR experiences. It has a completely intuitive, hands free, gesture based interface. And the whole point of the concept at the Olympics was around togetherness. And with Coke, we built these experiences that brought people together. So when you had a hug in front of the machine, it unlocked experiences, and it was all around sharing moments and creating moments of joy for Coke. Coke is all about the magic and bringing people together and then creating those moments of interaction. And I just love that level of bravery and gusto from partners, but also that's why Team Arcadia exists. This wasn't about solving a technical challenge. It was about dreaming about something bigger and believing that we can achieve it and then going out there and making it. And so that just makes me excited. If we're building these things today, what are we building tomorrow?
I love that partly because when I had my creative technology company, we did a ton of that physical work of how do you integrate these technologies in. And so the fact that you guys were able to help bring that to life is also, again, how we want to experience these technologies, not just through a
Totally.
phone or through glasses. Um, I want to ask you one question based on what you said. The two case studies you were talking about primarily focused on Gen Z. When I was looking at the data around who is using Snapchat, your largest segment is millennials. And I was actually surprised, like in my head, and again, I think of my daughter using it at 13 and being obsessed and frankly still using it 9 years later. But the idea that millennials are your largest audience group, I wonder how many people are like me and like are surprised because we think of it still through the lens of teens. So can you talk a little bit about who is using Snapchat and how are they using it?
Yeah, I mean, it's great that you kind of came across that because I always feel like Snapchat's like the cool club that everyone sneaks into. Like Gen Z's definitely running the show, right? We have over 850 million, I think it is, active users. I'm going to be so excited when we hit that billion. But it's not just them in the club. Millennials are right there too. And Sam, I was saying this to you earlier. A lot of our audience has grown up with us. Snapchat is 14 years old. Those young teens that were on Snapchat in the early days are now young adults and continue to use the platform. And I think they continue to do that because it's part of their kind of daily way of communicating. It's authentic. They can be themselves. It's groups that they love staying connected with. When we opened up that partner summit, the team actually opened up with one of the most incredible films I think they've ever made, and I hope they put it out as a brand spot, and it was all about streaks and friendships and families that have, these groups that are separated by distance and circumstance, but together on Snapchat and have these daily streaks. And there was this just really profound moment where we all go through different things. Life happens, but staying connected and Snapchat being that platform that keeps you connected and where you can just turn up and feel safe. And it's a space for real conversations. We know millennials really, really are loving that and gravitating towards that. So also 90% of 13 to 24-year-olds in the US are using Snap, which is
90? Wait, 90?
Most everyone then.
and, we're seeing this shift also globally. So that was the US, but we're also seeing this globally. I think it's because it's going from performative social media to something more genuine. It's like human social media. Snapchat was built differently. Avery, you touched upon this. It was built differently from the beginning. It was a place where people can be their real selves with their real friends. And what I love about it, and I think why we have that millennial audience is because Snap isn't about social validation. The millennials have been through that. It's not about metrics or public feeds anymore. It's just genuinely about real friendships.
It's more than just social per all of your campaign
Right.
that's active right now. It's not social, it's Snapchat.
I also wonder, Resh, and maybe spend 30 seconds talking about this, which
Yeah.
is how much that audience wants a break from, oh, I'm on a platform where people are dragging and trolling everyone they can based on their politics or based on their identity, or others where it's like, hey, we're gathering, the worst people in the world into private groups. And, like how much we all want something that feels a little bit lighter and a little, I think you said it's sort of the happiest platform there. I do think that is such an important point to double click on.
It is, it really is, and I think it's exactly what the world needs right now. It's not a place for clicks and likes. And, the whole message that we've been sharing, as Avery mentioned, is like, we're not social media. We kinda get bucketed into that, but we're not. We don't have a feed. We've never, ever been about likes. And you know what's really special about Snap is we're not trying to be the loudest platform in the room. We're just being real, because it's just like, it's exhausting, Sam. Social media is exhausting, and to your point, it is a side of human nature that comes out that is just, it affects everybody. And we all need a safe place to go. Our users aren't scrolling and posting for show. They're not doing that. It's not what we're about. And they're connecting deeply. They're sharing moments that are important. They can be goofy. I can turn up and not have makeup on, and it's okay. And that's what sets Snapchat apart. We're here for friendships, and real friendships don't need an audience.
Real friendships don't need an audience. I really like that connection. So, Resh, this has been an incredible conversation, and we've got to bring it home on the hottest topic of 2024, which is, of course, AI. Tell us how AI plays into what you all are working on at Snap. I know there's a lot of sort of AI messaging chats that we've been doing those for like quite a long time, but I know you all are advancing in this world. Tell us a little bit about how Snap is talking and communicating with your partners about your AI features.
Yeah, I am, it's such an incredible time and moment. Snapchat is, heavily invested in and working on some incredible Gen AI tools. We have the My AI feature in Snapchat at the moment, which has been incredibly successful because it democratizes the access to AI. Not everyone can afford a subscription to Gen AI software, and so being able to give our community instant access to My AI is incredible. And then our Snapchat Lens Studio, we not only democratize access to AR, but also Gen AI. I was mentioning to Sam earlier, a ton of Gen AI features in there, which is making it possible for anybody to create incredible content and bring their visions to life without needing a huge budget. So when you're creating either immersive AR worlds, or you're creating, in Lens Studio, you can create 3D assets now with Gen AI, and you can have AI driven animations. Putting all of those capabilities at people's fingertips is incredibly, incredibly exciting. And then, a lot of the work that we're doing in Team Arcadia is combining the power of AR with AI. That's incredibly exciting. And then I think this evolution in the tools means that, we're creating experiences that are removing the barriers and walls that people potentially had to creating content at speed. It's incredibly exciting for brands, because, the technology enables them to be able to put content out in the world that is done at a pace that we couldn't have fathomed, which means that your teams can be focusing more on the ideas and the core of the ideas. Obviously, everything has to be done with that sense of purpose and that sense of understanding, taking deep responsibility for understanding what you're putting out in the world and using the technology wisely. But we're so excited as a platform about our Gen AI features on in Lens Studio, within the app, and then also within the AR experiences that we're creating. Some of our most popular features at the moment are the Gen AI lenses that everybody is loving. I don't know if you guys have done the back to school, like seeing yourself as an 80s kid is so much fun. You know what? As a creative and as like a designer, if we had tried to do that, I don't know, just a year ago, do you know how long that would take us? And now with the power of Gen AI, we're able to put out these lenses that are so much fun and in, lightning speed. And that's incredibly exciting. My advice for any brands or any kind of developers out there is be bold and be fearless. We are in a time where technology doesn't need to define our creativity. In fact, with AI. A lot of people are like, "Where is AI gonna replace me?" I'm like, "Absolutely not." Just in the same way other tools have come before, um, what technology enables us to do is focus on our creativity. So creativity and human ingenuity become even more important. And, from our team point of view, we treat AI as our, newest member of the team,
Of
and
that.
think of it like that. It becomes incredibly exciting to think what that newest member of the team will enable us to do collectively together.
Resh, I think about it because I believe you were at Barbarian Group a while ago,
Yeah.
and I was also in the creative technology space with an agency. And I just remember how frustrating it was back then to think of like all the imagination ideas we had that we just couldn't build. And now the fact is like they're all buildable, and it's a wild time to be creative if
It
you know how to
really
use the
is.
tool set. Yeah.
It really is, and it kind of brings me back to something, and Sam, you've heard this many times, and we've all heard this in our career, but I think with all of the technology, what it means is the idea is king, and that never changed, and I think it's even more important now than ever because, you've gotta create something that feels real because you can create something quickly, but does it resonate with the audience? Does it fit with the brand? All of those things become even more important. So I think building experiences that move people is ultimately what we've all been trying to do. Now the technology will has come and gone in our, career, and that has never changed. We're still trying to do things that move businesses and move people, and I think that remains even more important. So you're spot on, Sam, with that.
Mic dropped. Okay, Resh, what an epic pod. I think we made it juicy. I think you spilled some tea here on all the cool things that you're up to. Sam, thank you for bringing back all of the historical references from your daughter using Snap 9 years ago to who Coca has to Barbarian Group,
All the
things,
hits.
all the hits that got us to where we are today. Resh, such a pleasure. Thank you for spending some time with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Resh.
Snap is a platform that just keeps going. I feel like it's one that has been hyped and unhyped and hyped and unhyped. And one thing I really respect about Evan and the whole team at Snap is they have always had this really clear vision around AR, as Rush just said, and they've invested significantly in these AR capabilities, building out things like Team Arcadia as a way to enable brands. And it was really nice to hear Rush sort of unpack a little bit of where they're heading and some of the success that they've seen. What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Raj is someone whose career I followed for a long time because we had a lot of beats that were similar. And I love her journey to get where she is. And now she's like literally in the perfect role. And so I think that's wonderful to have someone who knows so much to be able to push that forward and do it with such joy and like compassion and the way that she's bringing it. I think what you're also saying is super important, which is like we spend way too much time talking about the political discourse on Twitter or whether Threads is at this point or whatever. The fact is, there is room for a lot of these platforms that still have the hundreds of millions of users that can add value for them being what the user base needs. And Snap feels to be one that's really entertaining and fun and joyous and creative and has remained that for the last 10 plus years. You can't say the same about a lot of platforms like Facebook or like Twitter right now. So I think there's a feather in the cap that they are allowed to have, that they've continued on that mission in such a substantive way.
I love it. I think, Snap continues to have an exciting and bright future, and we're along for the ride. I know we had a lot of folks on my team actually out there at the Partner Summit and heard it was amazing. I want to get our hands on those glasses so we can do digital.
We'll do an
fencing with
episode
each
in
other.
it. Exactly.
Yes, that'd be so fun. Sam, can't wait for next time.